with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. I wanted to hear your breakdown and also
All
your
right.
prediction on
Yeah.
the fight.
First of all, I see a lot of things on social media. I see a lot of people going with Crawford fairly easily. I see people going with Spence fairly easily. To me, this is a 50-50 fight. You know what I mean? I'm leaning towards Crawford in this fight, but it's really hard to pick. Spence got that dog in him, and he comes to fight. He puts the pressure on. Crawford does as well. But Crawford also has the boxing and shows that he can move, away from danger and in and out, and he has a really good game plans, and he changes his game plans. So that makes this fight hard because, like, part of me saying, what if Spence gets in and just totally brings the fight? Will Crawford see anything like that? It wouldn't be a shocker to see Spence outbox Crawford, but for me, I just think Crawford with the southpaw stance, the orthodox stance, how sharp he is, and his boxing IQ. Not that Spence is not good, but I think Crawford. I think this fight will be very close after 6 rounds, and I think Crawford will be the one that finds that game plan. Or have that game plan for the later rounds, and I think Crawford pulls away in the later rounds and wins that fight. Now it's a fight that,
Mm.
and this is also a fight
Do you?
where, what's the power of these guys? I mean, somebody can get clipped. You know what I mean? It's not out of the question. When you get to this level with these guys and how elite they are, anything's possible as well.
Right. Do you see this
I
fight
do,
going the
yeah.
distance?
If I had to bet on that one, I would say that this one, they're just they're too skilled. I mean, these guys don't leave themselves open to really get caught clean a lot. Um, Very tactical fighters. So, yeah, I think this one stands a better chance of going to decision. But I'm also at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody get dropped. But I think these guys are in fantastic shape. I think they can recover quick. So,
Who do you believe possesses the harder one-shot power?
that's a very good question. Actually, my dad just asked me the same thing, and it's hard to answer because they're kind of like two different types of power. You know what I mean? Spence is more of that like raw power, heavy hand, and I think where Crawford's is more of that snap and quick. Catch you when you're not ready. Um, I say you got to be even. I really do. I mean, either one of these guys can put you on your ass. Excuse my language, but they can put you on your ass at any given moment of a fight. So, and they could do that to each other as well. If they get caught the right way.
Who do you believe is the more durable guy? The guy that has the heavier chin
Uh,
insurance?
that's another one. So, if we were to use this kind of like in our till of the tape, I guess, even though it's not, but let's just say that was our measuring stick. I mean, they're both fairly equal in that. They've both shown that they can get hurt, but they've also showed they recover quickly. A lot of them shown that they could fight in rounds 9, 10, 11, 12. I think, again, and that's why I said I think this one comes down to who has the better game plan at the later rounds. When shit starts hitting the fan, like who's going to have a better strategy? Who's going to be able to make that change that's going to be the deciding factor in the fight? You know what I mean? Again, if I didn't do some of the interviews and didn't get questioned, my big thing would be just to sit home as a true boxing fan and just enjoy it. Not pick who's going to win. Just sit back and whoever wins, be like, wow, what a fight. But now that I'm doing the interviews and I'm asked to give my feeling on the fight, like I said, it's so close, but I just had this gut feeling that's telling me that Crawford will be the one that will be able to pull out the decision in this fight.
Right. Deciding factors, something to really look forward into this fight that's very important. Could be the accuracy of the jab, could be the ability to take away the jab. I mean, what do you think that is a really deciding factor in this fight? Well, looking at
I
in the
think the
early
early
rounds.
rounds is going to be more so. them figuring each other out. I see around 4 or 5 Spence, bringing a fight in and probably taking some of those rounds too. I think the judges are going to see the pressure and the aggressiveness maybe there. Um, I think the deciding factor comes when Crawford starts utilizing that reach and the jab and his boxing ability, where he's not every time Spence is trying to get close, he's catching him. I do think that's where the southpaw orthodox stance comes in, and he starts kind of catching them from different angles and giving them different looks. And I think that's going to be the deciding factor in the fight. I think that's where he kind of pulls away. And at that point, I think Spence is, a little tired later rounds, and now he's tired and trying to figure out what he needs to do next. And, at that point, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see if maybe Spence gets caught with a good shot, in rounds 9, 8, 9, 10. Maybe gets dropped, or just maybe gets hurt a little bit and kind of backs off. I don't know, but that's how I kind of see that, coming about.
Nice. Who do you believe is the more athletic
It's so
fighter?
equal there, but if I had to say, probably Crawford at that point as well. Crawford got a background. Even as far as the strength and size difference, everybody's kind of like leaning towards Spence on that part of it. I mean, Crawford grew up in a wrestling family. That functional strength that you need in boxing and that you need in wrestling and even football. Crawford got that. He may be the smaller man on paper, but it's all equal and that part of the fight. Their size. It clears that, and makes it even. Crawford's strong speed, athleticism. They're both athletic as hell. I mean, I don't know. Maybe unless I went and tested their vertical and their 40-yard dash, I'm not quite sure on that because you know what I mean by that. Like not being a smart ass when I say that, it's almost so equal watching them fight that.
Like
Yeah,
take it to the track
it's like
type of
how
deal.
can I
Yeah.
really pick on that? Um, and that's what makes this fight so intriguing. It truly does. Like, and that's why I say 50-50, and it's hard for me to really go with Crawford because Spence, has all these qualities too. And the one thing that really makes it hard to pick a winner is, like I said, Spence has that dog in him too. Like, but when the shit gets going, Spence digs down and he comes to fight. But Crawford does at the same time. I mean, if we go back, I guess if we could use anything as a measuring stick, I would say maybe the Porter fight, right? You know, um, Spence kind of got in there with Porter and fought that fight. He fought that fight with Porter, and it's not saying that Crawford. I picked Crawford over Spence because of the Porter fight. Maybe Spence just thought that was the better game plan for the fight, and it looked like as where Crawford was able to neutralize Porter and kind of get away from that. Like Crawford would get caught up in that sometimes and dig deep, but for the most part, Crawford stayed away from getting caught up in that style and box. So now, could that make a difference in this fight? Not really. Obviously, neither one of them fight like Porter. But it just shows that Crawford still has that in him as well. I just don't think as much as Spence. And again, I think that's what makes this fight so interesting is you could almost take all these advantages that each one has and throw them out the window. And I guess where it's going to come down to is we'll find out, who's going to be the top fighter. It's going to be interesting. And I hate
Right.
to say this, and I might beat you to the punch on this one. It might be a question, but at least it'll be answered. I have a strong feeling too that if this fight is close, and no matter if you think Spence wins or if you think Crawford wins, will it be kind of a bummer because you want to crown one of these guys in a fight of this magnitude? You want to crown one of them. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a rematch. You know what I mean? This can go down as one of the biggest trilogies, actually. If you think about it. So if it's close, I hate to say it, but I just think from the business standpoint that is a draw. You know,
Mm, mm. Or a
and it could be.
controversial win.
But I just think that some of these pros they'll be walking away from a shitload of money. In a rematch. and especially if this fight is as close as what we're expecting it, and especially if they talk about the rematch within 8 months. Because the unfortunate
Mm.
part is these guys are climbing in age, and they're up right around that. Like, are they past their prime? Are they in their prime? Right. I think Crawford's 38 or 37, something like that. So,
I think he's
okay, well,
35. I think he's 35.
I thought I seen 37. Yeah, maybe I'm off. But yeah, that's still, with 35 that's old in a lot of sports. So, um, yeah, but if they could make this fight happen, I mean, a draw wouldn't be surprising.
Correct. Correct. When we talk about the more natural welterweight here, right? We've seen a lot of the greats, Sugar Ray Leonard, start his career at 35, and then they become real great natural welterweights, right? Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, plenty of these guys, right? Um, who do you believe is the more natural welterweight, and does that kind of
No,
matter in
I
this
don't
fight?
think for this because I think they both are. I think they both. I mean, both of them can actually go to junior middleweight and still be, a force to be reckoned with. But these welterweights are just bigger anymore too. Like back in the day, Trinidad was like your big welterweight, and De La Hoya, I guess you could consider a big welterweight, but not naturally. I mean, the guy came up from 135, 130. So, but Trinidad was a tall, big welterweight. But these guys, I mean, the majority of them, like even look at like Boots Ennis, you know what I mean, and then Virgil Ortiz Jr. I mean, these guys are big, these welterweights, and I definitely think Spence and Crawford are, and I think this is their prime weight right now. They're natural 147 pounders. Um, so I mean, I don't know on that one. I think that these guys are definitely, and I honestly think that if one of them may move up a weight class before they retire.
Right, right. I agree. I think their next fight they'll move up. Um,